That includes the department head portion. All right, so we'll talk now about the seeker.
Yep.
So I'll introduce Jason here. You want to come up and have a seat with us?
Sure.
How is everybody?
Excellent.
New faces since I've been to the last board meeting. So, I'm Jason from Lamont Engineers. I've been talking with the mayor, Rob, and Anthony. We're just having some initial conversations about the D.P.W garage that the village has planned. So I guess I guess still kind of being conceptually worked out in terms of size and exact, needs and wants and everything. But part of, I guess, progressing this project so you can progress the next part, which are the financing end of things and the environmental review. So the normal seeker process takes place. You as the village designate yourself as lead agency in terms of determining the environmental impacts of the project. And at that point, you fill out, or you hire me or Tal or somebody to fill out the short environmental assessment form. So I had previously sent over a resolution, which I don't know if you guys have, or we do. Mary Jo just sent that.
Somewhere around here.
And then filled out, I guess, part one here and the
Give us the 2-minute version of what is a seeker. What does it entail?
Yep, so the state environmental, or short environmental assessment form and the seeker process is again just, it's a process, it's a checks and balances government process that sets, okay, I'm going to do a project, need to assess, am I going to destroy a wetland, am I going to destroy archaeological resources? So it's a step that makes you stop, look everything over, and then, okay, everything's good, I can progress, or no, I need to do more to investigate things, so, as a community.
Okay. And just, I think we're all clear, we're talking about the cleared and graded lot behind the firehouse is where we're looking at this. So when we talk about a seeker, that's the area that we're doing the assessment on.
Yep, correct. So, like you said, it's the current D.P.W. Spoils/storage site this is going to be conducted on and everything. So, and again, we're only looking at the small area. We don't necessarily look at the whole tax parcel or anything like that, just where the building's proposed to be constructed. So,
And water runoff, right?
yep, correct. Yep. So, and actually, we'll get into that. I'll go through the short form quick, and I'll talk about that a little bit.
Good.
So, I have the short form. I think you guys have copies of that as well.
We do.
Okay. So I'll go through it. I won't go through it line by item or too in depth or anything like that. I'll give you guys the highlights. So, in terms of the short environmental assessment form, there's different designations of projects under the seeker law. So there's a type 1 designation, a listed action, and a type 2 action. A type 1 action is usually done if you're going to do a more significant project. For example, when the village constructed their new water treatment plant or your wastewater treatment plant, those were larger, more complex projects. They were spread out farther, so that involved a type 1 review. An enlisted action doesn't qualify under any of the categories in the law under type 1, so it's just a general review. You can choose to do a long form EAF, or you can choose to do a short form EAF. The long form again is more traditional for a type 1 review, but given the complexity of your project, the short form and enlisted action designation is what you want. So, a type 2 project is something, if you're replacing the parts in your pump station you guys were referencing tonight, that's a type 2 action. So there's no environmental impact in that. So basically, that's the general gist. So,
Are we going to need to do one if we slip line the sewer mains?
You may or may not, depends who's paying for it. That's what I would say to that. So sometimes if you're getting the project funded, you automatically have to do seeker. If you're doing it in-house, you probably wouldn't have to.
So it depends on the funding agency.
Yes.
Well, no, I think what he's saying is whether we pay for it out of tax levy versus what we're talking about, which is some combination of NYSERDA and FEMA funds.
Right, so it would specifically, it's specifically driven by whether NYSERDA or FEMA require a seeker as a contingency of the funding.
I see, okay.
So yeah, so for again, I prepared the short environmental assessment form for the proposed D.P.W. garage. Now, preliminary conversations on the garage were, you guys wanted something smaller, concise, nothing too large. So we have it described as a 3,500 square foot D.P.W. garage located between 3rd Street and Washington Street. And again, this is at the current spoils and storage sand salt location for D.P.W. So now the short form asks you specific questions regarding local ordinances and laws. Does it affect that? No. Approval from governmental funding agencies, yes, you will probably need to get a building permit for the building, just your own, follow your own village code. Total site you own down there is actually 12.5 acres, but you're going to be disturbing less than 1 acre to build everything for the building, so very small. And again, this form checks what kind of prevailing land uses are around there, kind of thing. You know, there's suburban, there's forests, you know, that kind of thing. You know, does it ask questions about your zoning zoning regulations and your comprehensive plans, which again, any kind of really municipal infrastructure is consistent usually with those. So.
Okay.
Predominant character of the community, again, I guess the preliminary discussions where you wanted it to look like the firehouse are very similar.
Right, one of the concerns that in a quick conversation with planning board chair is lighting, things like that back there, because the light, if something's gonna be disruptive about it,
Absolutely.
it's gonna be how it's lit, that kind of thing, being right behind the senior center and South Franklin Street, I guess, in the winter you can see it, but other than that, I don't think there's a lot, so that was the only preliminary concern with
Okay. Substantial increase in traffic levels, no. You're not building a new store or anything like that. Meet or exceed energy code requirements, the new building will meet or exceed those requirements, so that's pretty standard now. You're going to be connecting the building to the existing water and sewer utilities you already have in the village, so again, there's really very minor impacts with regards to that. You will have to submit, or we'll submit it for you as a next step, a submission to the State Historic Preservation Office with regard to the site, see if there's any archaeological resources or anything like that there. Which again, we're not anticipating any. You know, there are some historic properties nearby, but this site's pretty, I think previously disturbed just by D.P.W. activity, so you probably have a waiver for that. So. There's questions in here about getting to dam up water, which relates to the state's dam regulations, any kind of hazardous waste sites.
So you've got a yes to proposed action contains species of animal or habitats, and you list fish. Question 15.
Oh, on the first page. Yes, so correct. So when you, so there is, there's about 4 threatened or endangered species anywhere along the Hudson River that you're going to find. One of them is sturgeon. One of them is there's some kind of crane that I'm never familiar with. There's also the northern long-eared bat and the bald eagle. So those things in this form, we're saying yes, they exist. We're going to look at the site.
Forma.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Check.
Yeah. So right now, if you were to go down to your site, you don't have any trees there. You're not planning to deforest anything.
Right.
So you're not impacting bald eagle or northern long-eared bat habitat. You're not affecting the sturgeon in the Hudson. You're not affecting the crane. So it's, you know, we will follow the DEC on that just to get any input from them. But it's a when we go to the next steps of seeker, that won't be an impact. You're not in the floodplain with the project. Again, stormwater-wise, now the project is actually, overall disturbance from this building and the water and sewer is actually disturbed less than an acre of land. So there really will be no stormwater requirements other than just general site drainage to get the water away from the building. If you were disturbing more than an acre, then you'd have to look into bioretention basins or some kind of treatment for that runoff. But in this instance, you're pretty much under that threshold, so you don't have to worry about it. Yep, and then again, other questions that are pretty, you don't have a solid waste facility underneath the site or anything like that, or any hazardous waste sites. So, there is a hazardous waste site along the Hudson River. It's the Athens Boatyard over here along 9W, but again, that's, what is it, 1,200 feet away from your project, so it doesn't, near upland of it, so it doesn't really affect anything. So again, this is, the part 1 is just the initial, okay, we as a community have done our due diligence, looked at this. Now, what we'll do is, approval of this and passing of the lead agency resolution. We'll reach out to any involved and interested agencies that may have an interest in the project. So, for example, we know that there's threatened and endangered species, so we're going to reach out to New York State DEC regarding that. We don't anticipate any of them coming back with any special requirements with regard to that. Same thing, we're going to reach out to the State Historic Preservation Office. So, and again, we're not anticipating anything, any major, comments from them. So,
Okay.
in the grand scheme of seeker and what you're doing, your project is a very small impact, or any impact at all. If you were building a Walmart distribution center that takes up 20 acres, then that's a major impact. So it would be a much, much different process. And that's it as far as the short form EAF goes.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, of course.
Well, as you know, Anthony and I took a ride up to South Team today to look at their garage. That's probably what the size we need. I don't know if you ever saw it.
I haven't. The size we need eventually, or the size we need now?
Well, I'm not looking to throw the monkey wrench in, but I'm looking at the big picture down the road, because I just think if we build too small of a structure, we're gonna be sorry. You know, maybe we could sit down with Mary Jo, you know, see what exactly we have for funds to work with. Because we're talking, if we build it too small, in a couple of years, we have to bring contractors back in, I think it's gonna cost us much more money. And, you know, the main thing is to get them into a building to suit their needs, store at least 90% of their equipment under one roof, in addition to having them, you know, a more efficient building. You know, and I don't, like I said, I don't mean to throw the monkey wrench in on anything. We appreciate the work you've done and everything. I just think the current draft, it's really too small, in my opinion.
Let's do this. You and I, the three of us get together, or four of us get together again this week. Talk about, just give me a rough estimate. You know, if we come back with the plan with my plan, if you will, or the plan we've got on the table now, and in 4 or 5 years we look to do the addition as we discussed, what would be the inflated costs associated with that? What would be, we'll use the $200 to $250 square foot rule, and we'll estimate, you know, without a plan. I don't want you to do two plans.
Yeah.
But without a plan, we'll come up with an estimate of what the difference would be, what it would cost to fund it now, what we expect the difference in funding to be in 4 to 5 years. There's probably not a value of money impact over 4 to 5 years. So, and then we'll put a proposal to the board in 2 weeks. So we need the seeker regardless. We'll talk about, I'll have to do the math again, what the tax impact would be. With the effort that we're looking at right now, I can tell you it's about 60 cents per $100,000 of assessed value is the total impact of this. What the reason, well, I tell you, I won't make my case now. We'll talk about it at the next meeting. We'll look at 2 options, we'll put it to the board, and we'll discuss it. Okay? So, right now, I think we're sticking with the project plan you got.
Yeah.
So Jason came in, you know, we had spoken to another engineering firm about this in the past. I think we talked about it a few meetings ago. At any rate, when I gave them my slim budget and ridiculous timeline, I got scoffed at. Jason showed up with a plan to achieve it at the first meeting, which is why we're going with Jason. So we've got 2 resolutions then around this, so that I still have a voice. Has everyone reviewed the seeker resolution in front of you? The highlights, we intend to proceed, so step 1, we intend to proceed with the Public Works project. 2, we're designating ourselves lead agency, conducting environmental review and impacts. 3, determined project as an unlisted action pursuant to state environmental agency, seeker, Article 8. And this is the village's intent to serve as lead agency for seeker. And the Board of Trustees hereby instructs the mayor, with the assistance of the village's consulting engineer, to complete the short environmental assessment form. Okay, would anyone like to make a motion to pass this resolution?
I'll offer that.
Gail
I'll second.
and Rob, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carries.
I do have updated drawings if you guys want them at the meeting, or we can look at them now, it's up to you.
Let's do that at the next
Okay.
meeting, I think.
So,
And we'll get the whole view of it. Okay? So next meeting, we'll really start getting in depth on what the plan is, and how we intend to move forward with it.
Okay, very good. So I will keep the seeker going then, I will reach out to who we need to for the next steps.
Yep.
And then the only thing I will need from you, Mayor, is just the, you sign this whenever, the short form just needs your signature on the.
Okay.
So, you'll see the.
So I got something behind it I need to sign as well?
Third
Okay.
page in.
I'll do that on this copy here. Okay. Any other questions for Jason right now?
And do you guys, you say want to get together later this week sometime, is there?
Yeah, Rob, can you schedule something for us?
Yeah, I'll,
Okay.
This evening is good for you, or?
Yeah, I'm actually, I'm free for the rest of the week, I can even do Saturday if you guys are around, so. that's-
Saturday's not good for me this week, but Thursday or Friday will work.
I'm around either
Oh,
afternoons,
Thursday,
mornings.
Thursday won't work for me, Friday,
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 all right. Friday,
Friday,
Friday afternoon, evening?
Friday,
probably evening. We can do early next week if you prefer to.
No,
It's not, as long as we're
yeah.
prepared to come to the next board meeting.
Friday evening, I guess?
Friday evening
All right,
works.
6 o'clock, I guess,
Sure.
or 6:30?
Works for me.
Yeah, 6 is good.
Okay.
All right. So everyone has in front of them, thank you, Jason.
No, all set. Okay.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Talk more next time, thank you.
excellent, thank you.